When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. Before we begin, I'm going to run over some basic information before moving forward that I forgot to implement in the previous parts. Help me explain more how they're able to use these sword arts, because they have access to a separate energy called sword aura. Now, sword aura is not a specific, vampire thing. It's anyone with the right amount of training can access it, even the humans, but it's not very practiced, not a lot of people practice, so it's like a lost art, basically what I'm trying to say. And given this is my own custom Marvel world, so I have some leeway what I can do. Now I know the last couple parts I haven't really been focusing on Echo too much. I just wanted to flesh out the side characters, considering right now the main plot is it has everything to do with the Rosefield family right now, so let's just get right into this. This is The Bloody Inhuman, Part 5. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. Victoria watches Bella throw her shadow swords at her. Then the short sword split off and turned into dozens of shadow daggers flying towards Victoria's location. Victoria had a smirk on her face as she proceeded to slam her blood sword into the ground and begin to catch and throw back all of the shadow daggers that are flying towards her in her direction, right back at Bella. Bella had a frown on her face as she proceeded to slap her own weapons away with the back of her hand. You're quite impressive, Bella. You're quite advanced when it comes to shadow manipulation. And you're not too shabby when it comes to blood manipulation, judging by how well you shape that blood sword that's in your left hand. But I can definitely tell you're more skilled in ability and control comes to your shadow manipulation. To split off a shadow weapon into several, most impressive. Allow me to show you true mastery in blood manipulation, my dear niece. Behold a true master. As she craft all of the nearby vampire, lift up their bodies and begin to rip what blood remains into a singular orb of blood floating above the ground. The blood beginning to rip out of the bodies and increasing the size of the blood orb. With a single motion of her wrist, Victoria manipulated a large blood orb or blood ball into a whirlwind of blood circling around Bella as she's in basically a blood tornado as she's in the middle Well, Bella's in the middle of the storm. As several different types of blood weapons would form and shoot out of the blood tornado, forcing Bella to go on the defensive. And when Bella tried to leap out of the blood tornado, a humongous blood shield, covers and spikes, would cover the exit as the spikes on the shield would shoot out towards her, stopping any attempt to escape from above, forcing Bella to invade and prevent from further actions, from attempting to escape. Bella tried to take over the blood, but she was violently rejected. I'd do that if I were you. As Bella could see Victoria hovering above the blood tornado, looking down on her, mocking her. Now, for someone such talent, that wasn't very smart of you, to take control over someone who's far above your skill level, girl. I do believe this little dance of ours has come to an end, to the finale, if you want to get all technical about it. Don't worry, I won't kill you, but this is going to hurt. As Victoria has a vicious grin on her face. Clearly, Victoria doesn't care what sort of pain she puts her niece through. She's no longer caring at this point. She doesn't give a shit on how much pain she puts her niece in. Suddenly, the entire tornado shoot out all kinds of different blood weapons directly towards Bella's body, piercing her skin as a chain wrapped around her neck, forcing Bella to move, around with her wrists and ankles, as more blades shoot into her body. When Victoria acted, as she dove downwards and shoved her hand into her stomach, as the blood tornado disapparated, or stopped swirling around, as blood begins to drop onto the ground, Victoria pulled her arm out of Bella's stomach. Bella coughed up blood as she slowly begins to sink into the nearby shadows, beginning to disappear. This is far from being over, Aunt Victoria. Victoria only simply smirked, not caring, as she completely sunk into the shadows, escaping. As Victoria proceeded to absorb all the blood in the room, when she got enough blood, including the blood from the blood tornado. Well, that's only blood that's in the room, really. And absorbed it into her body. She's not worried. There's no way in hell her brother can fight against Yuri and win, no matter how strong he thinks he's gotten. Since his supposed death, that fight he'll lose. She's uncertain if Yuri will kill him, but if she does, that's one less hassle out of her hair. She could care less. The moment her brother killed their parents, all sympathy or affection she had for her brother died that day. She began to go to the meetup area to meet up with Blade and Whistler and take out the last location. Victoria is still worried about Echo, but Yuri's there, so she doesn't need to worry too much. As Yuri and Bella's fight have concluded. As we go back to the manor where Yuri and Victor's battle is about to continue, with Yuri having her black katana in her hand and a blood shield in her other in a battle stance. Victor narrowed his eyes and charged forward. In mid-charge, he created a shadow shield and swung with his shadow sword at Yuri, only for Yuri to redirect his blade and slam her shield into his chest, sending Victor flying backwards as he dug his sword into the ground, stopping his momentum. Wait, something's not right. I swore there was another vampire here. Where's the boy? Victor had no idea who Echo is. He just figured he was some random pureblood that came to visit his sister, so he didn't take much notice of him. The fact that the boy is gone. Warning bells begin to ring in his head, warning signs. So he's extremely on edge. His guard is clearly up. He has no doubt the boy is harmless, but a harmless boy could cause damage if he's unaware of the location. And he's associated with his sister on some level. So he doesn't believe the boy is as harmless as he looks. Victor was broken out of his inner thoughts as Yuri appeared slightly above Victor. You should have never lost focus in the midst of battle. Such an idiot move. As she slammed her shield across his face, then followed up with a vicious kick in his gut, sending him even further into several trees. Once again, Yuri appeared as she's standing above him when he stopped moving, as Victor is leaning against the tree on the ground. Well, Victor's on the ground leaning against the tree. As Yuri appeared, as she swung her sword downwards without no hesitation, directly towards Victor, as Victor rolled out of the way, as Yuri's blade cut right through the tree in the ground, clearly displaying she's aiming to kill. Victor used the shadows that's surrounding Yuri as he opened up an attack. As several shadow spears came bursting out of the shadows and began to aim directly at Yuri. Got you. Yuri almost looked bored. Instantly, when the shadow spears made contact with Yuri, instead of seeing blood or the expression of pain on her face, Victor only saw water. The moment his spears made contact with Yuri's body, the part of her body was attacked turned into pure liquid, negating the attack completely. As Yuri has a condescending look on her face, calling him an idiot for even trying. What a sneaky move you pulled there, boy. That might have helped you. That would definitely help you in defeat your opponent. If you were fighting anyone else, that trick of yours would have worked, boy. But you're not fighting against some average vampire. I'm far more older and more powerful than you. I'll give you credit. You're crafty. And indeed is a deadly trick. But it's useless no matter what trick you have at your disposal. I'm just better than you. Your mother should have boarded you when you were in the wound. As Yuri channels hellfire in her hand. It's a deadly type of fire that can only be found in the deep depths of hell. Yuri had plenty of time to explore other sources of power, besides her natural abilities as a vampire and blood magic. This is the end, Victor. You have failed. Not only did you failed yourself, you failed your parents, you failed your sister, you failed me. You're such a utterly disappointment. Die, traitor. As she unleashed her hellfire fireball explosion, as there was a large explosion, when the smoke cleared, you can only see a large crater. In the middle of the crater was Victor, heavily damaged as the forest is burning behind them. Parts of Victor's shadow dome is cracking off. Looked like the shadow shield took majority of the impact of the fireball explosion. But Victor did receive some serious damage to his body. Interesting. Despite all that damage you received, you're still standing. That is to be expected, with your family's good genetics. But you won't survive another one. As you channel another hellfire explosion fireball. Any last words, maggot? Victor smirked. I know when I lost. You won this round. But don't get it twisted. This is far from being over. I will get what's mine next time we meet. I will show you no mercy. Until then, enjoy your life while you still can. Because I'm going to give you your true death, alongside with my treacherous sister. As Victor sunk into his shadows and disappeared, that's when Echo emerged from his shadows, or from a shadow. Let's go back. I think training is over for right now. Yuri used the moisture in the air to create water, as she immediately begins to douse the fire on the burning forest. As the fire slowly stopped the burn. You have good instincts there, young master. There was no point in me getting involved. I'm still only a child, and I'm not strong enough to engage in a battle like that. Worry not, young master. You will be. I'll make sure of that. Tonight has been quite exciting. Wouldn't you agree? I was right in my decision to serve you. You must be starving. Yuri led Echo to the dining room table as she begins to serve Echo some blood. Meanwhile, Victoria, Blade, and Whistler met up as the three of them joined forces to hit the last location. They easily killed the remaining vampires that were following orders from her brother. It was a small group, so it was pretty fast to deal with. Victoria finally made it back to the manor. Whistler and Blade went their own separate ways. As Victoria walked into the room, seeing her new son drinking some blood, while Yuri is by his side. I see you two are getting along quite well. The young master has been most pleasant. Victor came by to said hello. Is he dead? Unfortunately, no. He managed to escape, that crafty little snake. He's like a cockroach. He's hard to kill. But enough about him. Once you're done with your meal, Echo, follow me to my laboratories. That's in the matter. I have to run a couple of tests. You know where it is, Yuri. Once he's done, meet me there. Of course, my lady. It shall be done. Good, I'll see you then. As Victoria went to her office to contact several members of the Vampire Council of the situation with her brother. After Echo got done drinking his human blood with cinnamon, Yuri led him to the medical laboratory and had him sit on one of the medical beds. The room he's in is a very small part of the medical facility in the manor. It's just like the waiting room area for if there's too many people taking different beds. Minutes later, Victoria came into the medical lab wearing a lab coat over her normal clothes and stepped in. All right, follow me. As they went through the metal door, going deeper into the labs itself, Echo immediately noticed all the different technology that he sees that he clearly doesn't recognize. Hydra had pretty advanced tech, but Hydra doesn't hold a candle to this type of technology. It looks completely alien to him. I see you notice. We have quite a different type of technology than the mortals do. Yes, I've never seen anything like it. Hydra had some pretty advanced tech, but nothing at this level. Everything here is run by magic. We combine technology with magic. With this equipment, we should be able to get a pinpoint if there will be any negative drawbacks during the blood ritual. I'll be combining part of my DNA code with yours, using advanced blood magic, manipulated on a more grand scale. So you use this method, this blood ritual, to maintain your numbers without resorting to other methods. Precisely. Anyone that goes through the ritual is transformed into a pure blood vampire. It's not known by the general public, or even outside of the family. Only a Rosefield knows what the blood ritual actually does. No one else does. It's a family secret. Now, I need to get a couple blood samples. After getting several blood samples, she only need a very small amount of blood she collected to put on a glass slate and look at the sample through a microscope. Victoria's eyes widen, seeing something she's never seen. She's never seen anything like this. Echo's vampire blood cells, are attacking, absorbing all the other cells, making his vampiric side more dominant. Yuri, dear, take a look at this. Yuri obeyed Victoria and looked through the microscope. As she saw what Victoria saw, incredible. According to what we learned so far, he hasn't fully transitioned yet. He's right stab in the middle of it. The blood ritual will definitely complete activation of his transition. I also noticed his genetic marker. These codes are quite common in purebloods. In other words, I'm some sort of new pureblood. Precisely. You're in the middle of your transition, according what we know so far. Wait, are you saying I haven't fully transformed yet? You have. You only transition enough to get the benefits from being a vampire. The strength, the speed, the hunger, and all of the other abilities that come along with it. You're slowly becoming more vampire than anything else. But once your vampiric inhuman genes fully activate, your body will completely complete the transition, making you a pureblood vampire. You were always going to be a pureblood vampire, even if we didn't accelerate your transition. That would have been the result regardless. I'm going to run a few tests. There's never been something like this before. Samples I took from you. I have plenty. Go and rest, my child. I have much to research. Yuri, please guide my son back to his quarters, then return here. I need your assistance here. As you command, my lady. Come, young master. After Yuri guided Echo back to his chambers and made sure he got into bed, then Yuri proceeded to head back where Victoria is, in the laboratory. Lady Victoria, I have returned. Excellent. It's a good thing I collected a couple vials of blood from Echo. Take a look at this. This is the sample I have under the microscope right now. I've also injected a piece of my blood to see how his vampiric cells react. Yuri watched the Rosefield cells overpower or balance the inhuman vampire cells. Quite interesting reaction. If the young master indeed goes through his ritual, he'll be quite strong. Clearly evident, your blood provides a balance with his aggressive vampire cells. And this is only a sample of your blood, my lady. It clearly strengthens from your blood. Instead of absorbing it completely, it kind of fused with each other. That's only one cell, though. We're talking about a mass scale of his cells. Indeed, he will be quite a powerful vampire when he's fully grown. Aren't you worried that he might not be uncontrollable? Nothing like that. I always knew the boy was special. I have no interest in controlling my son. That's something I would not do. There's never been a transition like this. Echo is going to go through. Even I am uncertain what exactly will happen, or the outcome of his transition fully activating. And if I didn't look into his blood, I would never figure it out he was only halfway through his transition. I would have to agree with you there. He feels and acts like a vampire. I originally thought he was fully transitioned. Hell, I can't even tell the difference between him and another pureblood. I agree. That's why no one will question his identity. Agreed. When do you plan to start the ritual? If everything goes well in the next couple days, let's run some more tests. Next day, Echo woke up like normal. He just had the additional of Yuri opening the curtains, allowing the sun glare to shine upon him through the window. Like I said in the previous parts, all the windows are made of special glass so the UV rays don't get through, allowing the vampires to gaze upon the sun without worrying of being burnt. Morning, young master. We have a busy schedule today. First, we have to get you fed, dressed. Then we'll proceed the first day of your studies to increase your knowledge. Then in late afternoon, you will have sword practice. Then in late evening, you will join your mother, Victoria, for dinner. Then after dinner, you will do a light jog around the property, then retire for the night. Normally, I would have you train non-stop, day and night, but considering you haven't fully transitioned yet, I don't want to push your small body too far. Otherwise, your body would break. Now, get dressed. We don't have a whole lot of time on our hands. Hop, hop. As she stepped out of the room and wait for Echo to get out and get dressed. When that was done, Yuri led him to the dining room area and poured him a glass of blood, as she gently placed it in front of him. When Echo got done feeding on his blood, Yuri directed him into a more large room, looked exactly like a classroom, as Yuri had Echo sit in a singular desk in the middle of the classroom, as she begins to teach him on everything, general knowledge, magic, even technology, and even more about blood magic. And Yuri is also teaching Echo in different languages for convenience. The end of his studies for the day finally came, as Yuri led Echo to the training area. As she threw him a wooden sword. Catch. What's this? Your sword. You'll be practicing with only this wooden sword. No shadow swords are allowed. Do we understand each other? Yes. Good. Now I'll teach you how to properly hold and swing your weapon. Now copy me exactly. As she got in a proper stance with an extra wooden sword and showed Echo the proper swings and steps to wield a weapon properly. Echo swiftly copied every movement she made. He trained like this for several hours. After he was done, he went to his room to get cleaned up. Once that was taken care of, he made his way over to the dining room to eat dinner with his mother, Victoria. I see you're in one piece, my child. Yuri can be quite an intense teacher. Yes, the studies and the sword training wasn't expected, but I'm adjusting. Just listen to everything she says. She knows what she's talking about. I was in your position once. What do you mean? As the maids came in to serve them their blood, Gary taught me as well. Trust me, from personal experience, you'll learn quite a lot from her. You'll learn quite a lot from that woman. It will definitely be a great benefit to you. Very well. I've had no complaints so far. As I've been doing so far hasn't been too difficult. That probably won't change. That probably will change in the future, but it's good to hear. After Echo got done with his blood, he did several laps around the boundaries of the manor. Then he went to bed and repeat the process. Normally his body would need sleep, but because he's been pushed so hard, he instantly fell into a slumber, like sleep. This routine continued, days to weeks, 2 weeks to months, 2 months to years. It's been little over 2 years. Echo is 12 years old, very much still a child in Victoria's eyes, in the eyes of vampiric society. Even if Echo was 100 years old, or 200 years old, he would still be considered a child in vampire society. Echo's in a training dojo, in the manor training. I knew I'll find you. I knew I would find you here. Mother, I thought you were going to be busy today. I got it done a little bit early. Come with me. I believe it's time that you learn your very first sword art. I see. Lead the way. As Victoria took Echo through a secret passageway to a secret chamber where all the Rosefield's knowledge and techniques are being kept. How you've been adjusting ever since the blood ritual. It's been 2 years since the blood ritual. I'm feeding all right. I have to drink a lot more compared to how I used to. I'm still adjusting with the elf-like ears and the longer fangs. Is it common for purebloods to have pointed ears? Yes and no. Not all purebloods have pointed ears, like you. It really depends on the vampire, really. And the pureblood family. But the Rosefields have been known to have members that have elf-like ears, so it won't be out of the ordinary. Seems like we have arrived, as Victoria showed Echo through the room once she unlocked the big metal door. It was like an underground library with all sorts of symbols for each element above. Going to one pathway only has certain techniques in that one area. Like the emblem of fire had all the fire techniques, and the wind with all the wind techniques. And it all split off. And they have a separate station or separate area for just average skills that the Rosefield has created. Wow, this place is massive. This is the Rosefield's family personal library, or we already have a library up front, but this is the real Rosefield library. We have created and collected quite a large catalog of different sword techniques and other techniques that doesn't evolve using a sword. You're far too young to learn any of the mainstream Rosefield sword arts. You're just far too young. Your body wouldn't be able to withstand the training to learn those certain techniques. But that's why we're going to work on one of the lesser ones, known techniques And she walked through the pathway that had a symbol of wind above it. These are all the books of the Rosefield Wind Sword Arts. Blind Raven for short. Victoria picked a nearby rolling cart and started to pick out books from different types of wind techniques that could be applied with the sword and some other ones. It didn't take her long, as she took the most useful ones for the situation to get him started. This should be adequate to get you started, son. That's a lot of books. Am I to learn this all by myself, or is Yuri going to teach me? Negative. You won't be learning this on your own. I will be teaching you personally. Then Yuri will refine your skills. Come on, my dear child. We're going to start immediately after leaving the secret chamber, or library, secret library basically. As they go back to the outside, well, the training area of the Rosefield Manor. It's good that you have your practice sword on you. Arm yourself. Echo grasps the handle of his weapon and hold it in his hand. As you know, you have two sources of power. Your magic, that can be used to use blood magic, and the other black magic, and the other source of energy that you have, named Sword Aura. And have you been keeping up with your studies and training with your Sword Aura? That I have, Mother. Good. That's one thing that I don't have to explain. I would have regardless. But with that said, we're moving forward. Now the style I'm about to show you and teach you, the style of sword technique this is, or sword style, it combines nicely with these wind sword arts that contains in these books that you will learn. But first, you need to learn the basic sword style. And considering you're a speed fighter, either hand-to-hand combat or with a blade, this is the perfect style to get you started. Just because it's not a well-known sword style and techniques, that doesn't make it weak. On the contrary, it's quite a deadly art. To be able to wield and master the wind. Let's begin with the beginner steps of the sword form. Now follow my movement exactly, as Victoria begins to teach Echo the basic forms of the sword style. Adding wind element with sword aura could be applied later, but for now, she's more focused on getting him used to the sword style. And adding wind is more of an advanced level of the sword style. But Echo is learning the basics right now. Victoria could teach him later at her leisure when she decides he's ready. Practice what I've shown you so far. The books will be returned to the secret laboratory for obvious reasons, but they will be returned here every time it's time for you to train with this wind sword style you are learning right now. Understood, Mother. It's quite evident these books have very useful information given the manner how you secure this knowledge. It would be reckless to leave it laying around. Exactly, especially with my brother, your uncle, out there, want to get his hands on any knowledge I've been I've been protecting since I ascend to the head of the Rosefield family. Now enough about that. Why don't you run along? I have no doubt you have other responsibilities you have to fulfill. Echo bowed and went on his way to his chambers to do a bit of studying. He has a test tomorrow that Yuri gave him to complete, so he's just preparing. The flying raven, good choice, my lady. Yuri, I can't still detect you when you're sneaking up on me. What can I say? Stealth is my specialty, my lady. Report how everything's been going with his studies alongside with his training. It's going very well. As you note, the young master is quite intelligent. He has a photographic memory, so keeping the new knowledge is no problem. He just has to look at it once or read it once, and he'll remember it instantly. His photographic memory doesn't stop from normal learning. It also helps him learning. It also helps him in his training. He just has to look. He just has to see a fighting style once, and he could easily copy it and utilize it. It might take him a little bit, but he can learn new things quite fast. I've noticed that as well when I was teaching him the Rosefield flying raven. How about his reaction when he awoke in his sword aura? It took him a few days. Started to teach him how to awaken it. He was surprised how dark it felt. It's only natural. We're vampires after all. Our version of this energy that the humans have access to, that feels their own techniques, are polar opposites, but they are the same energy that's corrupted. But the initial shock didn't last very long. I've been teaching him how to channel it. The flying raven is a very good choice. I'm a bit curious on how well he'll adapt the flying raven. Keep what you're doing. Of course, my lady. I've got quite accustomed of his presence. Oh, have you now? Are you getting soft? Yuri covered her mouth and started to laugh slightly, like a little bit. Me soft? I'm just fond of the young master, that's all. I must return to my duties. As Yuri had her usual fake smile on her face, as she gave a curtsy and proceeded to head back to her work and check up on Echo to make sure he's studying. And we're going to stop it there. I'll catch you guys in the next part.